Russell Wilson went on Brandon Marshall's podcast and spoke about his future goals when it comes to maybe re-signing with the Broncos or just staying on the Broncos or potentially moving to a different team. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
I got more fire than ever, honestly, especially over the past 2 years of what I've gone through. Whether if it's in Denver or somewhere else, I hope it's in Denver. For me, it's about winning. Over the next 5 years, I want to win too. I want to feel the chill of that trophy again. So, I want to go back to Denver. I hope I get to go back.
So after Sean Payton benched him and the injury guarantee completely, just Sean Payton played that horribly. The injury guarantee threatening to bench him after, for the last 9 games of the season if he didn't restructure his injury guarantee or get rid of it. There's a complete mess in Denver, but now apparently Sean Payton, because he's looking around saying, I don't know if we're in a great position to draft the quarterback, and Russell Wilson may be our best shot to maybe stay, keep Russell Wilson. I want to know, just what do you think the chances of Russell Wilson doing what he says and winning, at least one Super Bowl? What are the chances he actually does that with any team that may be interested in him?
Oh, well, I got one other thing I want to predict before we get to that one. What are the chances Russell Wilson will be back in Denver? 0.
Really?
Yeah. He isn't going to go back there. I mean, and he doesn't want to go back there either. He says he wants to stay in Denver. He's fully committed. I hope it's Denver. I hope I get to finish there. I'm committed there. I wanted to be there. I want to be there. Yeah, right. Of course, I just want to win. Okay, well, here's what Sean Payton did. Sean Payton yelled at him multiple times on the sidelines in front of everybody, right? Embarrassed the hell out of the guy. Then he benched him, and then for the last 2 games of the season, and then he said he was out looking for another quarterback. So I don't think there's any chance he's going to be back in Denver. I think he's gone. And by the way, if he's still there on March 17th, he's guaranteed $37 million salary. So bye, Russell. You're headed somewhere else. I'm sorry. And whether you're going to win 2 more Super Bowls, you better pick up your game some from what you've been playing the last 2 years, because you won't get there by throwing a lot of interceptions, fumbling the ball, and making a lot of mistakes and poor decisions.
That is true. And by the way, what's fascinating is that Sean Payton was in a press conference and said, quote, there's a Broncos fan with a shirt on with like 8 quarterbacks, names crossed through them, and he's like drinking the quarterback Kool-Aid, he said. Our job is to make sure that this next one doesn't have a line through it. That's the key there. The next one. He's this idea of repeatedly saying that he wants to be in Denver, wants to stay in Denver, wants to complete his career in Denver. He's making it very clear. This was not a I want out situation. This is a they are kicking me out. That's what this is. This is protecting his image of I'm getting kicked out of here. I wanted to stay here. Which, honestly, they are kicking him out. If they threaten to bench him after 9 games, not for poor play, because last season, it was the farthest thing from poor play. He did go 7-8, but he had 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 8 picks on 3,000 yards, 66% completion percentage. That's not bad at all. And at one point in the season,
he made some big mistakes, though. He did make some big mistakes. In the Jets game, he fumbled the ball.
1 game.
Right, and they lost it. That cost them. They were moving the ball down the field. They were going for a winning drive, and he muffed it. Well, he got yelled at by Payton when he came off the field on that one.
A lot of quarterbacks, they have certain games where they don't play well. That doesn't mean they're a bad quarterback.
He was signed to a giant contract to take them to the promised land.
He was,
and he didn't deliver.
Well, I mean, this is only year 2. Year 1. He didn't play well. Hackett, like Sean Payton said, one of the worst coaching jobs he's ever seen in NFL history. And let's crack this can of worms open.
But I think you're right. I think that Wilson's setting it up to make it look like they kicked him out rather than he wanted to leave.
Right.
Right? That's for sure. And that's similar to, he learned that from Sean Payton, who, when he got there, set it up so whatever, if the team doesn't succeed, it's Russell Wilson's fault, not mine.
Right.
Right? And he succeeded in doing that by benching him in the last 2 games and saying they were out looking for another quarterback, yelling at him on the sidelines, and saying a lot of negative things about him in the press and after the games and the post-game interviews. He said he doesn't think fast enough. We're going to have to He has to wear an armband now. We'll have to call plays differently because he doesn't process things fast enough. He couldn't say enough bad things about Russell Wilson. So I think Russell Wilson trying to take the high road here, but definitely setting it up, saying, you canned me. I didn't want to leave.
Right.
I think that's right.
I think that's great PR because entering Denver, the PR was he's a diva. He has his own staff. He's not a team player. And now he's sort of exiting with I tried. The coach just didn't want me. The team didn't want me.
But the way he entered was bad too.
Right,
having his own office and all of
exactly.
that's not being a good teammate.
Right.
You should be in the locker room there with everybody else and have your booth there that's no better than anyone's and football's a team game. It's not an individual game.
Right, exactly. Like I said, I want to open up this can of worms because first of all, and this leads into my Super Bowl conversation. Currently, at this current moment, as of February 27th, I have to preface this because we had a comment that once say that Justin Fields was not the favorite to go to Pittsburgh on February 27th of 2024. Russell Wilson is currently the next team he goes to is the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is the favorite. The betting favorite are the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I thought that's where Justin Fields was
correct.
going.
Now it turned into not the case. The Falcons became Justin Fields' probable
really?
next destination. Yeah. I want to make this very clear. It doesn't matter what team he goes to. Russell Wilson is not going to win another Super Bowl in his entire career. Do I think the Steelers, talent-wise, overall, are better than the Broncos? I do, actually. I do. While their offense last season was horrible, Matt Canada was not the best OC, and they had three quarterbacks. They had Kenny Pickett, who's not that great, Mitch Trubisky, who doesn't deserve to start any more games, and Mason Rudolph, who didn't play that poorly.
He played well, Mason Rudolph.
It was against, maybe you could argue, subpar competition, but he did perform. He performed well underneath the circumstances. Meanwhile, the Broncos, on the other hand, their offense wasn't that great either. Neither was the defense. They had the 29th ranked defense. The Steelers had the 21st ranked defense. Offenses are basically the same. 25th for the Broncos, 26th for the 25th for the Steelers, 26th for the Broncos. So offensively, very similar. Very similar. Defensively, the Steelers have a slight upper hand. But I don't think it doesn't matter what team he goes to because the Chiefs' job ain't opening. None of these top-tier jobs that top-tier quarterbacks are at, they're not opening. You're going to go to a subpar team that's looking for some veteran leadership to maybe turn their franchise around for the foreseeable future. Russell Wilson will not go out there, ball his heart out, and all of a sudden end up in the next Super Bowl. Or 2 years from now in a Super Bowl. Or in 5 years from now make it to a Super Bowl. He's not that Super Bowl winner. And I talked about it before because people, proclaimed him during the Seattle years of a probable Hall of Famer. In my eyes, he's not a Hall of Famer. If we look a little bit closer, he's always had a phenomenal running game. Phenomenal. Marshawn Lynch was a top running back, obviously, on the Seattle Seahawks. His passing numbers, always actually well below average. Well below average. But yes, he didn't win the most games in 10 years. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I don't think the Steelers are going to become a top 2 running team in the NFL. I just don't. They were 13th last year. I don't think whatever team he goes to is going to have a well-rounded team. He's not going to have the Legion of Boom anymore. He's not going to have the steel curtain.
I think
the purple people eaters are not going to come back.
I think you're right. The Steelers the Steelers team overall is better than the Broncos team, and particularly on offense, the wide receivers. Two very good wide receivers and two very good running backs as well.
And you also have a good tight end, Freiermuth, who's a very viable tight end.
So the pieces are there for him to be successful if he can set up the play-action pass with a decent running game, and the Pickens out there and the other guy, Johnson, right? I think he could perform well in Pittsburgh. Would they win a Super Bowl? I kind of with you. I don't think so. Depends on whether T.J. Watt can stay healthy the whole season, whether they could get deeper into the playoffs. They did make the playoffs last year.
They did.
And they have a good coach in Mike Tomlin. So, I don't know. I think that's a pretty good landing space for him. Would he get 2 Super Bowls there? Very doubtful.
He's not getting one.
You don't think he'd get one?
Not only is not winning one, he's not even making it to one.
Yeah, okay.
Because he's not a Super Bowl winning quarterback anymore. It's just the way the circumstances are. Is he a terrible quarterback? No. No. But what we saw over the course of this past season was on script, the first, let's say just the first quarter, the first half, he was pretty good. And then you go into the second half, and late in the fourth quarter, he gets progressively worse. It's very similar to Justin Fields. As the game goes on, he gets worse. So,
maybe he could morph into more of a game manager with Pittsburgh with the pieces that they have rather than a game changer, right? The Denver Broncos recruited him to be a game changer, and that's what he was in Seattle because his stats, as you say, weren't the greatest, right? But he was a game changer. He did things that other people couldn't do to win games that other people might not have won. So he had that ability. And has he lost it? It seems to be that he has lost some of that. He did play better this past season, but did he play game-changing football? Not really. In fact, he made some game-changing decisions that lost them games.
Yeah, but I'll give them this, though. They were able to hold the Chiefs close in the first game and ended up beating the crap out of them in that second game. That is something I could commend Russell Wilson for doing.
Yeah, well, the Chiefs went on a tough streak there where they lost 5 out of 8.
They look pretty down and out.
That was one of the losses.
I think no matter what team he goes to, if the Falcons are interested, I don't think he's winning there. If the Patriots are interested, no. It doesn't matter where he goes.
I don't think he's going to the Patriots either.
And honestly,
I think Pittsburgh is. You're probably right. That's probably where he's headed.
I'm going to say
With the
this.
Salary, he's going to have to take a big salary cut to go there.
I'm going to take one out of Austin Eckler's book if I'm Russell Wilson. The worst outcome would be for me to stay on the team. He said that last year about the Chargers. The worst situation for him would be to remain on the Chargers because he was dealing with a contract issue. By the way, we're going to do this on Friday. The number of top-tier running backs that are in the free agent market that probably won't be tagged, it's tremendous. So a number of teams that are looking for running backs, the Cowboys, the Ravens, the Patriots, a lot of teams. There's going to be some sizable talent in free agency when it comes to running backs. But for me, no matter what team he goes to. Is Russ Wilson a hardball quarterback? No. Has he shown his age when it comes to being able to, as you say, make those game-changing plays in the plus category and not in the negative category like he was against the Jets? More of those moments are becoming very clear now. I don't think he's going to make it to Super Bowl. I don't think he's going to win a Super Bowl. You could put Russell Wilson, now you could argue he had a fringe top 10 quarterback performance this season, although personally I don't think so. Was he top 15? Yeah, he was. But is he top 10? No. But I could see the argument because we also are taken back by this because we're like, oh, this is the Russell Wilson that we are kind of familiar with. Not last year. Mm-hmm. And so maybe we exaggerate this year's performance a tiny bit because of how horrible he looked last season.
Mm-hmm. He wants the 3 Super Bowls because that's the automatic entry into the Hall of Fame.
I mean, some people are saying 2 Super Bowls. Some people are saying 2.
Eli Manning?
We're gonna have a whole the Last Dance, and then maybe sometimes you have Kobe's retirement tour. We may have an Eli Manning Hall of Fame argument tour as it gets closer and closer. There's going to be a number of conversations when it comes to me.
He's going to be available here. He's going to be eligible here pretty soon, right?
Well, this is the year.
This is the year coming, huh?
So it's going to be fun debating some of those. But, yeah, I don't think Russell Wilson's well, first of all, you could take this hot take. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. Is he a fringe Hall of Famer? Yeah, he's fringe. But it's more so probably not. Will he make it to another Super Bowl? No, he won't. Will he win another Super Bowl? No, he won't.
So he can't win one if he can't get
exactly.
there. Oh.
Regardless of what happens, Russell Wilson, can he still be a good quarterback in the NFL? Yes, he can. But there's
more as a game manager, I think, than a game changer.
That's probably where he'll find his success. But are the Steelers?
That's
is that all they need?
That's a good team for that. I
think.
So
you think all the Steelers need is a game manager? Also,
a game manager that has the ability once in a while to make a game-changing play, and I think Russell Wilson still has that in him.
I'll say this: the personalities, I don't think will
more than
will
Kenny
match.
Pickett.
I agree with that. But what I'm also I'll say is that I don't think the personalities match. Russell Wilson, very calm, cool, collected guy. We saw Deontay Johnson and George Pickens each sort of rebel against their own team. Mike Tomlin had, he couldn't, reel them in to sort of
because
stability.
The offense played poorly. They got rid of their offensive coordinator partway through the year.
I mean, I think a lack of production. It's a lack of control of emotions when it comes to Pickens and when it comes to Johnson. So could Russ change that? He very well can. But I don't think he's going to be that changing player that takes the Steelers from fringe playoff contender the past couple seasons to, okay, they could consistently make the AFC Championship game. I don't think so, especially because the AFC it's a much harder conference than it is in the NFC. So you're going to be going through Mahomes, that's the thing too. I would get out of that division, absolutely. Because now you got Herbert with a significantly better head coach. You have Mahomes, who just won back-to-back Super Bowls and is going for a three-peat. You have the Raiders, who they have a player's coach, so they could be looking at another quarterback potentially. If not, though, you're going to have some Mahomes rules. You're going to see the physicality of the Raiders.
The Mahomes rules.
Yeah, exactly. So I would get out of the division. If I'm Russell Wilson and I'm being kicked to the curb, I'd get out of the conference. Go to the easier one. Go back to the NFC. Because even if you go to the Steelers, you'll be playing Joe Burrow twice, Deshaun Watson, and mostly that Cleveland Browns defense twice, and you'll be playing Lamar Jackson twice. You could argue that division, on paper, is a tougher task to deal with than it is against the West.
It could be.
Because the Chargers, they have been up and down. The Raiders have been mostly down.
Generally, the Steelers play decent games against their competition in the division.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. But still, though, it is a tough task to be up against those teams with those quarterbacks and that talent like that. Go over to the NFC. Join the NFC South. You can compete with Baker Mayfield or Derek Carr or Desmond Ridder for the top spot in the NFC South. That's where you have the best opportunity to maybe make a Super Bowl. You got to go up against
Baker Mayfield.
The volatile Lions defense.
You got to go up against Baker Mayfield.
The choking Eagles. Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers, who this past season, 2 straight playoff games, had horrible first halves. I would say if I'm Russell Wilson and I'm getting kicked to the curb, look at NFC teams. Go to Atlanta. Say Atlanta. I'll take the veteran minimum, which he reportedly is open to doing. Take the veteran minimum just to go out and prove to your haters, your doubters. You could argue that's me. Go prove to people that I can still make it to the playoffs. I can still win some games. I think going to Atlanta is your best shot. So, Russell Wilson may be out. He'll probably be out. But it's glad to see that he's in the best shape of his career so far, and he still has that passion and that fire to still compete after getting beaten and bruised by the media and by fans for the past 2 seasons.
And by opposing defenses.
And by your own head coach.
Yeah,
that's the worst one about it, by your own head coach
Russell.
as well. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.